And he goes, we need somebody basically to help us pretty much theft these cars. So I'm thinking, cars from people. And he's like, no, from dealerships.
Hey, this is Matt Cox, and we're about to do a podcast on Kass. Kass is going to explain real quick about. So it's because I have different pictures and articles and stuff, and so the name's a little confusing because I got Raphael, and I've got Marcellus.
Yeah.
So but you go by Kass. So
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. So, because that's like a DJ name, you said.
Yeah, so I've been DJing for about the last maybe 10 years now or something like that. Yeah, so I was doing other stuff before DJing. I was always into music, but I started DJing about 10 years ago, like traveling, making money.
Okay.
And it was a big money maker for me, and so everybody knows me as Kass pretty much.
All right. So Kass has an amazing story about being on the run, getting fake passports. It's basically just it's just one crime after another, but then also turning his life around, going to school, getting caught. How much prison time did you do?
I only did about a little over a year and a half. It was a year and a half, yeah.
Year and a half prison time. So, but anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So I'm gonna just basically where were you born?
No problem, man. I was born in Los Angeles, California. Raised there pretty much until I finished high school. Growing up there, basically it was me and my mom most of the time. I had a little brother as well.
Right.
My father, he was there in and out. I don't think it was all his fault. There was problems, but I was too young to even know what was going on. But that was where I grew up, and my mom always tried to keep me out of, let's say, it was just her, so she tried to keep us out of, let's say, the ghetto areas, things like that. But growing up out there is kind of hard to, especially when she's going all the time working, so you end up wandering out to see different things, stuff like that. But my childhood, I was the oldest, so I had to grow up really quick. So I think by the time I was maybe 13, 14, I was the one kind of in charge of my house, pretty much taking care of my little brother, making sure the house runs smoothly while my mom was working, things like that.
Right. So, okay. Well, so, I mean, at what point did you start getting into trouble? I mean, first of all, were you graduate high school? Were you in high school when you got in trouble? Or
actually, see, it's a funny thing is, growing up as a kid, I was kind of I was a good kid actually growing up. I never really got into too much trouble. Now, I would go hang out in the streets and stuff like that because I had family members that did, and I would hang them out. But a lot of my family members saw that I was really smart book-wise. And what they wanted me to be was smart book-wise and have street knowledge. And they were like, you're the one that's going to do something with yourself. You're the one that's going to be something. We don't want you hanging out here after a certain time or things like that. So luckily I had that presence.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's good because a lot of times people will try and pull you down. They see that and they actually try and stop you from excelling.
And I had friends actually that did that. They were like, the crab in the bucket theory. They saw that I was doing good in school. I had good grades, everything. So I was doing good in school. I was on the varsity basketball team. I played football, ran track. I did it all pretty much, as a model kid growing up. And like I said, I had family members that were they were out on the street, and then they saw that I was doing better than they were, so they pushed me to keep doing good, that I'm the one that's going to make it out. So I graduated high school and everything, and even after high school, I was still doing pretty good. I used to get in some trouble here and there, but just little stuff, and never really got caught with nothing or anything like that, thank God. But it was just little things. But even after high school, I left and went out of state actually and moved to Colorado. In Colorado, there's a lot of military bases there. You have the Air Force Base, Army's there. See, my mom was in the military as well. So I was I had a lot of family members in the military. So I was going to follow my family members and join the military and go to the Air Force. And pretty much that's where life kind of messed up for me, actually. Start making a little wrong decisions here and there.
What year was that?
That was, I think, year 2001, around 2000, 2001. Somewhere around there, actually, is when I moved to Colorado Springs. Like I said, I was going to join the Air Force, and I was working and everything. I had my own apartment, and I actually had a couple roommates with me. And life kind of turned around for me was rent was due coming up. My roommate, he ended up moving out and, or not moving out. He actually left. Sorry, he left. And when rent was due. So I was like, what the hell? So I go into his room. Only thing in his room was a TV. So at that time, we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers, two-way pagers. So I'm trying to get a hold of him, things like that. Finally, he calls me back like 7 days later, whatever it is. He goes, hey, I left the TV in the room. Go take the TV. You can go sell that, make some money, whatever. Sorry, this bro. I'll owe you rest of the money later. Da, da, da. I never heard from him again.
Of course.
Yeah, so I took the TV. I went to go pawn the TV. Pawn the TV, got like a couple $100 from it, paid my rent. Everything's fine. So fast forward a little bit, I'm actually in a relationship now, and I have my woman. She's pregnant with my first child, and when I'm young, I think maybe 22 or something like that. I was really young, so I was out partying all the time, pretty much, right? So I would be partying stuff like that or whatever. So I was out at a party one time, and this is maybe a year later after I pawned a TV or somewhere on. I don't remember exactly. I'm driving. I get pulled over. So I get pulled over. The cop comes, grabs my license, registration. I'm like, sure. I made an illegal U-turn. Didn't know I did.
Were you in the military though?
No.
That was your plan. But
that was my plan.
Happened.
So I was trying to join the Air Force, and I had to take like the ASVAB test. I had to do a lot of stuff to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
I was prolonging some things. I started making friends,
Right.
But my whole goal was to join the Air Force, actually. So I never made it there.
Right.
Okay. So a cop pulls me over, and then when he pulls me over, he's takes my driver's license, goes back to the car. I'm thinking everything's fine. I've been pulled over plenty of times now. In Colorado, now driving in Los Angeles is totally different than driving in Colorado. Yeah. Los Angeles cops don't mess with you. You can speed all day long. If you're going too slow, they might pull you over. Colorado's a different story. 10 miles over speed limit to pulling you over. So I used to get a bunch of traffic tickets. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, I hope I paid this traffic ticket off. I'm thinking how many. So the cop comes back. I notice four other cop cars come.
It's not a good sign.
Yes. So I'm like, what the hell did I do? Is it because I'm black? What the hell's going on? So the cop comes up. He goes, yeah, so we need you to step out the car, sir. So I'm being very respectful. And I think he sees that. So he takes me out the car, and he's like, I just want to let you know that you have some warrants for your arrest.
Some?
Yes, some. So my eyes light up, and he goes, oh, you don't know about them, I guess. And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, turn around and put the cuffs on you. So puts me in the back of the cop car, and he tells me, yeah, so you have a warrant for burglary, theft, false information to a pawn shop, and I think two other, I don't remember them all. Those are the main three that I remember. So I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, your bond's $10,000. And I'm like, how the hell? So luckily, since I was being respectful to him, I called a friend. My friend grabbed my car for me. I told him. So we didn't have money to bond me out of jail or anything like that. So I was in jail for like the first 2 or 3 weeks before I got bonded out. Still don't know exactly what's going on. So I end up talking like months later with my public defender. They show me my discovery, things like that or whatever. Oh, yeah, don't never try and get a real lawyer if you ever get in trouble. Trust me. So end up talking with them. My public defender explains to me, yeah, so you pawned a TV at such and such a pawn shop. That TV was burglarized out of somebody's house. So somebody broke into the person's house, took the TV and a bunch of items and everything else. I got stuck with the TV. I pawned the TV.
Right.
So, I had false information to a pawn shop. That was the other charge as well, too. So the lawyer told me, I'll get all these other things dropped, but I need you to plead false information to a pawn shop. So I didn't want to go back to jail. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I didn't ask what the repercussions were or anything like that. I'm like, I'll plead to it. I didn't even know it was a felony at the time. Didn't know nothing. So I pled to it. I think they gave me like 2 years unsupervised probation or something like that. So I was like,
basically just don't get in trouble again.
Yeah,
you don't have to show up. You don't have to do anything, but just you can't get in trouble.
Don't get in trouble. So I ended up, I was like, so that kind of woke me up a little bit. So I end up going to.
What happened with your buddy? You never said, hey, this fucking guy gave me a TV.
Never heard from him again. So if he's out there, I got in trouble for your TV. Never heard from him again ever.
Because that one event spiraled you.
Everything.
He's the one that got he may have burglarized, he may have just bought or gotten the burglarized TV. You don't really know. So, but that one event spiraled you onto this whole fucking thing.
You got it. So, it's funny how something like that can just change your life.
Oh, I can look back and looking back and pinpoint exactly. That's when it all went wrong for me. You know, of course, I made every wrong decision along the way. Yeah, I made multiple longer, but that's definitely the one that really started it.
Yeah, and I never heard from him again. But that incident kind of woke me up, and I was like, let me get on joining this military thing. So I went to go talk to a recruiter at the Air Force, and he goes, "Oh, you have a felony. You can't join." So what? Me have because I didn't know that was a felony.
Right.
He goes, "You can't join." So I'm like, "Oh, now what am I going to do?" So I went to the Army, and they were like, "Yeah, you just got convicted of felony. You got to wait a few years to join." And I'm like, "Whoa, what the hell?" Not only that, I'm also on probation, even though it's unsupervised, but I guess you can't join while you're on any type of paperwork or something like that. I don't know if it's different now, but at that time you couldn't, I guess. Right. So they kept telling me, no, I couldn't. So I'm like, oh, what the hell am I going to do now? So I'm pissed, mad at him. He's like, what the hell, da-da-da-da-da. So basically after that, I started hanging out with some of the guys that I actually met in jail or whatever, because you exchange numbers. Right. He seems cool, things like that.
He's all right.
Yeah, he seems all right. He seems like a cool guy. So I started hanging out with some of the guys I met in jail. Mistake number 2. That's where a lot of my stuff goes wrong from there. So I was running the streets with them, things like that. Never really got caught doing anything, but we were just always partying, that type of stuff, just being irresponsible, as a young 20-year-old. I ended up working for a company called MCI. I don't know if you remember that company.
Of course I know MCI. I just interviewed a guy that had worked for MCI. He was part of the whole collapse, the whole thing. Oh, it's great. His name's Walt Pavlo.
That guy owes me a check still.
That guy, God, I forget how many tens of millions of dollars. It was a massive scheme that he was involved in.
Oh yeah. So I'm working at the call center that they had there, and I'm doing good. I think I worked there for about maybe 6-7 months, and I'm doing good because I had this skill that I can sell things I didn't know I had. So I'm selling, service over the phone to these people, cold calling, doing very well, things like that. And once I get good, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, be here for this. Well, one day we show up and the whole place is just pretty much closed down. The doors are locked. Nobody gives us a warning or anything like that. And we don't know what to do. And after that, I go home and I don't know what to do. I'm like, I can't get a job anywhere else because I got this felony on my record. Nobody wants to hire me. I was lucky. Actually, I think I lied my way to get into that job. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I remember lying some sort of way to get that job or whatever. So I don't remember how I did it, but I did it. So I'm thinking like, where am I going to work now? What am I going to do? At this time, the lady that I'm with, she already gave birth to my son. So I'm looking at him like, how am I going to take care of everything, She was working at a place too, and the place she was working at actually ended up closing down as well. They give everybody like a 2-week notice. Right. So I'm thinking like, I got to take responsibility. Because I always grew up as being a responsible one. I got to take responsibility. What am I going to do? So what do? I resort to the friends that I met in jail. Right. Of how am I going to make some quick money? And pretty much that's when life even went worse for me from there. So I'm hanging out with them. Bills are coming up, stuff like that. So that's when I started basically turning to the streets to do a lot of things. So I ran into this guy, and this guy was like, hey, I know another guy, that can help you out. So I met with this guy. The guy was from like Ukraine or something. I don't know. And he goes, we need somebody basically to help us pretty much theft these cars. So I'm thinking, cars from people? And he's like, no, from dealerships. So I'm like, or from dealerships? He goes, yeah, I'm not going to explain too much about it. But basically, I need a crew or I need somebody to just grab these cars and then take them here. Right. Or whatever. So I'm like, all right. So I'm waiting a couple months or whatever it is. So within that time while I'm waiting, I'm still hanging out with my friends. We're out in the streets causing all kind of trouble, mischief, things like that. Just little stuff, not big stuff though. So finally I get a call, or I should say a page, I think at the time or whatever it was.
Right.
And tells me I call back and tells me, I need you to go here and pick this up. So I go
Give
and
the keys to the cars?
yeah, pretty much the key. Yeah, like there was everything was set up for you already. So pretty much I go, and next thing you know, I go to this dealership, and there's like tons of, I'm not talking about I'm talking about a big dealership too. So I'm seeing like keys there's cars everywhere. And then after that, there's like directions that they give me or whatever. And the directions were like, look over here, there's a lockbox for a key for a car, right? Some of them come in plastic, some of them are metal. Well, all these are in plastic. And they're like, well, if you look on the windshield, you'll find one with the lockbox. The key is inside. Just open it up, get in the car, and drive off. So I'm looking like, where's this car at? They didn't give me a color. So I happen to see this bright blue lockbox. I'm like, I think that's it. Open up, key, drive off. Hold the car for a couple days, da-da-da. Come to find out, I think they were testing me at first just to see, So,
Right.
Anyway, the guy ends up coming to pick the car up like a few days later. And he goes, all right, I see that, you can do this. And he has his accent, so you can barely understand what he's saying. I see that you can do this. I'll send you some more work. So next thing you know, he tells me about 3 cars. And I'm like, all right.
What are you getting per car? They're paying you something?
Yeah, they are paying me. So it all depends on what it was, to be honest with you. It could be anywhere from a few $100s to almost $1,000. Just depends. It depends on how far, because every time the drop-offs were always somewhere different too.
Right.
They weren't always the same. So it just all depended on what it was. So eventually I ended up getting like a little crew together, because I couldn't the guy would tell me go get 3 cars, and I can't go get 3 by myself. I have to go get one, drop it off, go get the other one, drop it off, go get so
Yeah.
And I'm scared of getting caught, because I've never done nothing like this, but I just know I'm making some money.
Right. So the risk is from picking up the car to actually the point where you have to drop it off. Is it 100 miles? Is it 30 miles?
Well, most of it was kind of far. So most of it was about anywhere from, I would say, 75 to about 150 miles. So it was kind of.
So if you get grabbed in that time, you're just fucked.
Pretty much, yes. And these guys, the one guy I know looks like a type of guy you don't want to mess around with, So
Right.
if you get grabbed, you just get grabbed, and you better just bite the bullet.
Right. Well,
So
he's Ukrainian mob or.
yeah, I had a feeling, but like to this day, I still don't know. I don't know, but you just get that feeling from certain people,
I know a guy who was with the Albanian mob, and he, I mean, this is a guy that was in prison with me for kidnapping someone, duct taping him to a chair,
Oof.
and taking a cattle prod to his nuts until he came up with $100,000 that he owed his boss.
Oh, man.
And he was one of those guys that you looked at and you knew.
Yeah.
You don't tell on this motherfucker. like, you just do the time.
Oh, man.
There's some people I look at and I think, I'm telling on that motherfucker. I'm telling on you.
You're going down because you ain't going to do shit.
You better hope they talk to you before they talk to me. This guy's like, I'm just going to not say anything.
I'm just going to take this one,
Yeah.
Never. You might see me in the cell one day and kill me or something.
See me on the street and kill me. Yeah.
But he was one of those type of guys that you just kind of tell. So I just learned early not to ask questions. Don't ask any questions about this guy. So so I'm basically I got a little crew together now. Got a couple guys, and this is what we're doing. After a while, I'm trying to put the timeline together for you how correctly. So after a while, I kind of slowed down a little bit. Well, I had 2 cars sitting where I was living at, waiting to get dropped off.
Right.
And I'm waiting for 2 of my guys to come get them dropping off, because I'm at the point now where I ain't really got to do much. Or whatever.
Yeah, you get that good crime money.
Yeah.
Starts piling up and you start getting lazy.
You got it. So I'm sitting there. Oh, actually, sorry, this is early in the morning. For some reason, I'm up. I don't know why. Maybe 7 a.m. I don't know why I'm up. I think my son woke up or something. I don't remember. So, like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, shit. I think that's the police.
Yeah, they have a knock.
Yeah. So,
Not the.
yeah. Look through the peephole, of course. What do I see? They got the finger over the peephole.
Yeah.
Don't answer. I don't say not one word. We just sit there for a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. They're knocking for about a good 15 minutes. They stop. So where I live at, it was like an apartment complex. you can open up the blinds and you can see like where I had the vehicles located at. So I kind of peeked through the blinds and I see 3 cop cars. The cars that were there that we had are gone. And then in return, there's a cop car in each spot or whatever. So I'm like, oh shit. So
they're being cute.
Yeah.
Right.
First thing I'm thinking like, who told on me? That's the first thing I'm thinking, like, who told on me? Who said something? Somebody had to say something. So eventually the cops leave. I don't know if they thought I wasn't home or not. So I'm thinking like, I don't want to go out the front door. I don't know because they might be waiting for me,
Right.
They're not dumb. So I'll wait for about a good hour and eventually open up a side window, crawl out the window and just take off, whatever. Right. Left. From there, I end up going to a friend's house, told him what happened. He's down for the calls. He's like, yeah, you can stay here as long as you want, bro. I got you. One of the friends I met from jail, actually.
Yeah.
I got you, bro. I got you. So I'm like, I'm not staying here. I'm not staying in the city that I got to get out. So I ended up leaving a couple of days later and got out the city. I left, went out of state. I think I went to Nevada or something like that. So I'm out in Nevada for about maybe a good 5-6 months, doing all right, doing fine. I'm laying low, I'm not working anything. I'm just laying low. And I get a call.
How long did you do the car thing for?
I didn't do it that long. I only did it for maybe 4 or 5 months, something like that. It wasn't that long. Yeah.
So it's not like you've got a huge amount of stockpiled money.
Yeah. So I just did it enough just to get me to where I needed to be.
Right.
And my whole goal was to do it and get out, not do it and make it a career out of it. Do it, get out, and get to where I got to go and try and figure out something. So I didn't want to make a career long, I wasn't trying to be a career criminal or nothing like that. It's funny how things turn out, but that wasn't my goal or whatever. So I'm in Vegas, so let's say maybe this is a year from when it's all started, the whole car thing. So I'm in Vegas. I'm sitting there. I get a call. One of my from my friend, he's like, hey, you're all over Crime Stoppers. And I'm like, Crime Stoppers for what? He's like, there's all kind of stuff. You're wanted for hostage situation. There's a bank robbery, all kind of things. And I'm like, whoa. Time out. Whoa. So he's calling me Warren. I'm thinking he's lying.
Right.
I don't know. So at that time, there was no internet. I mean, there's no like Facebook. They can't show you any articles or anything like that. We didn't have access really to that stuff because this is maybe like 2003-ish or 4-ish, something around there. I'm not sure, 3-ish. So I'm like, so I got to take his word for it. I'm like, okay. So I know to basically lay low even more now. So I'm pretty much nervous. I'm having nightmares every night deciding what to do. So maybe a month or 2 months later, my son, who's still back in Colorado, gets sick or something like that. And I was real big on trying to be there, for my son. So he's really sick. So I'm like, oh, man, what do I have to do? I can't not sit here and why he's over there suffering because he's only, I think he was a year and a half or 2 years at that time. So I was like, and I remember my dad not being around. So I was like, I got to go back. So I actually went back to go see about him. So when I went back, I went to go stay with the friend who helped me out the first time. So I'm staying with him, and he's got 2 more other people staying there now. So I'm at his house, and I'm probably there maybe a month or something like that. My whole plan was to leave and get out and go back to where I was. Didn't happen at all. One morning, wake up, once again to that bang, 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 bang at the door. Wake me up, and this house is like a 2-story house. And I'm on the 2nd floor. The bedroom I'm in is facing the backyard. So I know that knock. I'm like, oh, shit, let me climb out this back window and jump backyard, run out, I look throughout the back window. There's a cop in this yard, cop's in this yard.
They don't knock on the front door till they got the back covered.
Yeah. So I look and I'm like, holy shit, helicopter. I can hear the helicopter in the sky. I'm like, what the fuck? So in Colorado, all the houses have basements. So in the basement, there was a crawl space. So I managed to make my way to the basement, get in this little crawl space that had like a piece of wood that's like covering the crawl space or whatever. And inside the crawl space, there's a pipe. I'm crawled up the pipe because I'm small. I crawl up the pipe and I'm hiding in there. And I'm under the stairwell in the house, like deep in the house. You can't see. You have to know I was there.
Right.
Really.
And the cops aren't going to look that hard.
Yes.
Probably. They're probably not going to send somebody up.
Yeah. So they're in this house and they're looking for me. And I can hear everything as I'm in the stairwell. So I can hear them run up and down the stairs. I can hear them questioning people. Where is he at? Da, 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 da. So far, nobody's saying nothing. I can even hear when they open up the basement and open up the closet where I'm at. I can hear that. And around the crawl space is a little bit of light from the piece of wood that's blocking this little hole that I'm in. So I can see like the door opening up. I hear them footsteps coming. I'm like, oh, damn, they're close. And all of a sudden he leaves again. I'm like, yes, they didn't, So the guy goes, are you sure he's not in here? Because we can't da-da-da-da. And you can hear him on the radio talking to somebody or whatever. Whoever he's talking to, I guess the guy's telling him, keep looking or whatever. And the guy's trying to say.
They must have seen you go in.
Yeah, the guy's trying to say.
He didn't come out.
Yeah, so the guy's trying to say, yeah, he's not here, such and such. Basically like we're wasting our time. So then all of a sudden I start hearing whispering. Like, pss, 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 pss. And I'm like, why are they whispering? What's going on?
Somebody's telling them.
15 minutes later, the door opens back up. And I'm like, oh, shit. Guy comes in there. This time you see a flashlight or whatever. He leaves. I'm like, all right. Now a flashlight and you hear a dog.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh.
I'm coming out.
Yeah.
I'm coming out.
No, I'm still there. I'm holding on to the last hope. Still there. So all of a sudden that little piece of board slides out the way. And I'm looking down like this on the pike because I'm crawled all the way up. The dog comes through, looks at me. I look at the dog. I'm like, I'm about to get bit. Dog doesn't do nothing, walks back out the hole. And I'm like, did this dog just, what the hell's going on? So then I hear the cop go, what the hell's going on? And he goes into the hole. I see his head, sees the pipe, and it flashes up and looks at me. Got him! Pulls me down by my leg. Those cops are so pissed. They pull me down by my leg. He lets the dog bite me there. Oh yeah, he lets the dog bite me there, and then pulls me down my leg. Now in this basement,
he lets the dog bite you.
He lets the dog bite me. There's broken glass in the basement. He's pulling me along this broken glass. My pants are ripped. I'm bleeding everywhere. They basically hog tie me. They're just so mad because they're in that house looking for me forever.
Yeah.
Finally, they have me up against the wall. Have me handcuffed. They have a picture. Like, yep, that's him. That's him. I'm like, okay. So finally, they take me out. I have no shoes on. My pants are ripped up.
This is for car theft?
Well, remember, I also have for that other stuff that I was in trouble for, which I didn't know about. So they end up, which I found at the time odd, but as I got older, I see why they did this. So I'm bleeding everywhere. So then they take me to some parking lot that really has nobody in it, and they have a paramedic meet me to make sure I'm fine, I guess. I'm thinking, why is there a paramedic meeting in abandoned parking lot? Now that I'm older, I'm like, they didn't want nobody to see what was going on, that, basically let the dog bite me and everything else. So paramedic is like, he's fine, he can go. So they take me to the county jail. Now, they don't take me into intake right away. They take me into a little interview room. So I'm sitting there, two detectives come in, and then they come in and they go, so you know why you're arrested? I'm like, no, I'm playing dumb. I don't tell them myself. I'm like, so they're like, so, you've been caught red-handed. Da, 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 da. I'm like, caught red-handed doing what? They're not telling me anything. So the guy's phone rings. He leaves, comes back in. He goes, listen, we got to get to the point. Where were you this time of the day? And such and such and such. I wasn't even in the state because this is something maybe that happened while I was gone.
This is somebody that looks like you.
Yeah. So I'm like, I wasn't in the state. He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I can verify that. I'll tell you right now, I was not here in this state. I have proof I was not in this state, such and such and such, this and that. I'm like, I have a bus ticket under it because at the time you can get a bus ticket. You could tell me any name you wanted to and get on the bus. So I was like, I have a bus ticket under this name. You could probably look it up. I might even still have it in my backpack you guys ripped apart under a different name that shows I left. So come to find out, I guess those people that I had doing stuff with me, well, they took it steps further, a lot further. They started just doing all kinds of things. They started robbing houses. They started breaking into people's homes. They held some people hostage. That's where the hostage thing came from. They tried to rob. They tried to do all kinds of things. And I guess when they got caught, blamed it on me and said I was the head guy in charge since I was gone. So they tried to say that I was a ringleader. I did all this. So I had to take a lie detector test. I passed that, and then there was proof that I was not even there during this time. Right. So thank God I wasn't there. And so all those charges, I never got found guilty, or I should say they had to drop all those. So I had I think 3 Grand Theft Auto charges they had on me or something like that, plus my original charge. So 4 felonies now. So go back to jail. Now my bond's even more. It's like 25, 30 grand or something like that, sitting there in jail. This time I don't remember if I bond out or not. I just remember sitting there for a while. Now I don't go to prison yet, actually. They put me on a work release program, actually. So work release, you can go to work,
Right.
turn yourself back in. So I'm doing that for about 2 or 3 months. Start hanging out with the guys I met from jail the first time, partying and everything else. End up getting drunk one night and don't go back. So don't go back. Now they hit me with an escape charge or whatever.